We are joined by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, who is a Member of Parliament for Madeira. Thank you for joining us, sir. We're also joined by Honorable Paul Njoroge, former nominated Senator. And last but not least, we are joined by none other than Zach Kinothia, who is a lawyer but also a political analyst. Thank you for joining us, Zach. And we go straight into the dailies this morning, and we start off with the Standard as usual, although we do have more or less the same story on the Standard and the Nation, and that is the governor of Nairobi. On the Standard, they have called it end of an era. Era spelled E-R-R-O-R, in other words, end of a mistake. And on the Daily Nation, crisis at City Hall as Sonko era, ERA, collapses. And of course, this is a story that many are watching with a keen eye, given that it is unique by virtue of the fact that Nairobi has operated without a deputy governor for 2 years. We have Mike Sonko now arrested. Not quite sure what scenario is going to play out after the pronouncement tomorrow by the courts, but it is suspected that the courts may rule that he cannot access his office, given that there's already a precedent set. But let me start with you, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, on what's playing out in Nairobi and what lessons really, as a country, we should pick out of this.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to say that we must give the court process time to unveil itself. You know the law in this country. There is a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And we didn't want really to delve in matters that are before court, because this is a country of the rule of law and due process. I'm sure Mike Sonko will have his day in court, and along the way, he will either be verdicted or he'll be convicted, which one way or the other.
Whichever way it goes.
But be as it may, I think Nairobi is a mess, in the sense that we are staring at a crisis. There is no deputy governor. And if the courts go by the previous pronouncements of, saying the governor cannot go to the office until the matter is heard and determined, then we are staring at a serious crisis. I have previously pronounced myself on this matter, that it was reckless on the part of our party, Jubilee, not to rein in on Mike Sonko to appoint a deputy governor. You see, the law, the framers of the 2010 Constitution had in mind that, no man is immortal. Anything can happen to anybody. That is why.
Seen things happen.
Yeah, that's why we have a deputy president. That is why we have a deputy governor, to make sure that in event of any unforeseen circumstance or challenge, the public do not suffer. The Constitution put in a mechanism that in case the governor or the president has a challenge, either way, the country, the county moves forward. Yet we are here. We have left a governor to treat Nairobi like it's a private property and decided not to have a deputy governor. Either way, and nobody. And us as a party, as Jubilee, would have called him and say, my friend, you are nominated by Jubilee. Jubilee party has a responsibility of this town. We can't allow this kind of uncertainty, this kind of recklessness. Because I must call it very reckless.
Would it be fair to say that it's a failure on Jubilee's part?
Yes, it is. It is.
Let me come to Senator. Your thoughts on this and what really we should pick as a lesson from this. Mheshimiwa here has mentioned that Jubilee has failed by virtue of the fact they did not rein on him on time. This, of course, even if we don't look at the cost that it's going to cost the taxpayer, should we get into an election, there's already a huge mess right now in Nairobi, given the way things are.
One, I would say, it's very unfortunate that we have the Nairobi governor already in remand as we speak today. That means, and Nairobi doesn't have a deputy governor, as we all know. Since Jubilee became a divided party, whereby the president and the deputy, the president is on the 4-agenda program, the deputy is on the 2022 campaign. That is where we missed the whole thing, and Sonko has kept both of them busy. Yeah, he has kept the president busy. He has kept the deputy president busy. He's a good guy. But all said and done, he has put himself in a situation whereby right now, wherever he is, he knows he has left Nairobi
in a mess.
In a mess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, and particularly lessons that we should draw from this, because I'm sure the crafters of the Constitution, by putting a deputy, probably assumed that that was taken care of. But with Sonko's, and it's not just Sonko, we also have, I believe it's West Pokot, where there's not been a governor for some time. This should be lessons for us, such that there should be a law that maybe forces the governor to ensure within a certain period of time there is a deputy governor.
I'd want to start by picking it at the level of the party politics and say the problem with us here in this country is that we do not appreciate the doctrine of party democracy. We do not know what party democracy is. And we know democracy was borrowed from the West, is predicated on nothing but functional political parties. But our political parties are not functional. And this is deliberate, because Machiavelli, in his treatise, The Prince, has advised for 400 years, and advised that kings and princes and presidents and prime ministers have in secret and private practiced to the core that the bridges that delivers you must be burnt if you want to rule in peace. Otherwise, they are going to bring another to where you are sitting and dethrone you. These bridges are political parties, because we elect presidents, we elect members of parliament, and we elect members of county assemblies on nothing but political parties.
Correct.
These political parties must be destroyed. This is Machiavellian, an old principle that works for people who have no security within them. You must destroy the party so that it does not function to hold you accountable. Because as Mheshimiwa from Madeira is saying, this city has come to what it is because of our recklessness as a people. Because our party machinery has chosen to look the other way. They don't want to look at him. Why? Because they are afraid, having been a popular fellow, a Robin Hood of a kind in a city that is founded on the Westminster way of governance, you would find that Sonko has been enjoying terror. And what terror is this? The Secretary General of the party, who should ideally be holding him accountable and calling him to when he has made errors, cannot act. Why? Because he has to wait for the party leader. And the party leader does not want to hold him because, as Senator said, they are not together with the deputy party leader in terms of philosophy of the party. So, your question. This Nairobi politics, from the beginning, for people like us who did not vie, we saw it. We saw, actually, the worst situation is the Constitution foresaw a deputy to take over after the substantive leader has left under 5 circumstances: death, insanity, impeachment, incompetence, that is gross, or resignation. This new situation that we are having, the Mumbi-Goge jurisprudence, has not been the repeal of Section 62 of Anti-Corruption and Ethics, something, that act. We did not foresee this, even the framers of Constitution, that a governor can step aside and no elections will be held, because he simply has stepped aside for at least maximum of 2 years. That's when his case should be done. But in this case, we never foresaw it. No governor, Speaker cannot be substantive governor, can only act for 60 days to prepare an election.
For election.
Yes, but this election cannot be prepared because the governor is not out of office, has only been stepped aside. So for me, I would say, Sonko is a dynamite that is going to blow all of us if we are not careful. And it has happened in other countries.
What is remaining that would blow us? I mean, he is already before the court of law. We do not want to go into the details of whether guilty or not, but the fact remains that he is now staring at a very, very difficult, period coming.
By tomorrow, that is when his Douglas Ogoti will pronounce his bail terms. What we expect, because the law is both blind and can see, is that what has happened to Governor Waititu will automatically apply to this, given that you cannot be charged and be in office at the same time. This is integrity and morality, chapter 6. So we expect that he will be out of office temporarily. Now, in Kiambu, that one was a passing cloud because the deputy governor substantively filled the position, though he cannot do some of the functions. But here in Nairobi, we can't do that. So what are we going to do tomorrow? That's what I'm saying. This is a dynamite that if, and now Jubilee Party, their party, I used to be part of the party, but I left. Jubilee Party can do nothing after tomorrow. I want to assure you that. The president and his government can do very little about tomorrow. So what should we do? My thinking is that we can only seek the advisory of the highest court in the land.
And we'll wait on that for that. But still staying on the same and coming back to chapter 6 of the Constitution, Senator, coming to you, shouldn't we get to a point where we need to raise our moral threshold to a degree? One, Sonko was not held accountable to a point where he should have a deputy. But two, when it gets to this point, whether guilty or not, shouldn't our moral threshold be so high that we somehow, through the party, for example, pressure that he resign or, leave that seat? Because even if, or even somebody like Governor Waititu, even if they came back to office, your name has already been dragged so much into that muddy water that chapter 6 of the Constitution really should be applied.
Yeah, I think from the word go, that is should be the position. But look at here. I think when you go through the papers and when we were watching on television, we could see someone like Murkomen, who is the leader of majority at the Senate, and Senator Mutula Kilonzo, they are representing Sonko. When you know that the Nairobi people actually, their fate actually lies mostly at the Senate. Because remember, the Senate is the one which is mandated to take interests of the counties. So you see, with that kind of conflict of interest, it means even before this matter went to EACC, they were playing a very retro role in bringing Sonko to order as far as the management of the finances are concerned at the county. So we still have that problem whereby the key players, and with this I'm saying Senate, has a major role in this one, becomes partisan in terms of Sonko matter. Because when the majority leader is there, when the other senator is there, I think him is based on tribal basis. It's very unfortunate.
And that becomes a very, very perturbing scenario.
Yeah. I don't think so.
When you don't think so?
I don't think so. You see, Mike Sonko, for whoever he is a Kenyan. Under the law of due process, he's entitled to legal representation.
But when we become so legalistic...
No, he's entitled. Let me tell you, this is a country governed by the rule of law.
And I think that's...
And that is why we came from the state of nature. We have the laws to regulate society.
I agree totally.
He is entitled to legal representation.
There is another law that I think we as Kenyans are ignoring, the moral law.
The higher laws.
That leaves us... There is a spirit of the law and there is the letter of the law. What you're quoting is the letter of the law. The law, yes, does declare and require that. But where do we draw the line and say as Kenyans, if this is the Senate that is supposed to be giving oversight over governors and the county government, how then do they represent him in court?
Murkomen and Mutula Jr. are not in court as senators. In their other life, they are lawyers. And you are allowed to choose the best legal mind that you want. If that happens to be a senator...
Isn't there conflict of interest?
No, there is. You see, this is a court of law, and here we are dealing with facts. And let me say, much as we talk about Chapter 6, we must allow the entire legal process to go through. No man must be condemned and hard. It's against the rules of natural justice. And you can't just say, simply because you have been taken to court, you are guilty. We have had so many people who have been taken to court and they have been set free.
That's true. But
And
I think
one, they have been stigmatized. Their careers have been totally destroyed. Let us allow the due process of law to take place. Let us not cast a stone against somebody simply because he has been taken to court. Why have you been taken to court? For the court to look at the charges, interrogate them, go through, listen to tangible evidence, not public lynching. And I can tell you, you have seen so many cases that have been rushed to court. You saw the issue of NYS1. The DPP was breathing fire. 8-9 billion has been lost. When they went to court, they took somebody with 80 million. What happened to the rest? Let's be very, very careful, because we are talking about Sonko, for whatever he is head of a household. He has a wife, he has children,
that's why I want us
he
to
has
move,
his own dignity.
That's why I want us to move the conversation from Sonko to the moral aspect of it and Chapter 6 of the Constitution. I look forward to a time, and maybe Zach, you'll help me out here, what your thoughts are. I look forward to a time where I've seen members of parliament in other jurisdictions who have resigned because they were 10 minutes late. Now, that is integrity.
Let me tell you, my friend, myself, I believe that Sonko is the wrong man for Nairobi. In fact, I take responsibility because I asked my workers to go and vote for him because he's Jubilee. I don't think he can run Nairobi. But I protect his right.
As a Kenyan.
As a Kenyan, that he cannot be condemned and hard. It's against the rules of natural justice.
Not saying that...
Much as I don't think he can run this city, he has a right to be heard because that's the rule of natural justice. Everybody must be given a chance to be heard.
But perhaps what you're saying, and I get your question, is look at who we are today. And they say men of low character are governed by the law, but men of high character are governed by conscience. And this is, I think, where you're coming from now, ignoring who is in the court or who is not. It is completely conflictuous to the interest of the leader of Jubilee Party, who has initiated the anti-graft measure, to be sabotaged by one of the leaders of Jubilee Party. It is that easy. Murkomen is a lawyer with full rights to practice and litigate in any court of law.
Correct.
But Murkomen is the leader of majority with a party that is led by the man who is fighting corruption. It is easy that way. The conflict of interest, by the way, Mutula Kilonzo has that right now today. He's not a senator as he represents Sonko. He is a lawyer, and he does not conflict in interest. But this man in Jubilee, who is perhaps number 5, because after party leader, deputy party leader, speaker, both houses of Jubilee, and then leader of majority, and then leader of majority in the National Assembly, he's top 5. He's among the top honchos of Jubilee Party. Why is he going to represent and to defend a matter that his party leader has flagged as wrong? Because fight against graft in this Jubilee government is an initiative of the manifesto of Jubilee Party as was sold to Kenyans in 2017. Why is he representing them? For me, this is direct assault and defiance. And this is why he said, and I agree with him, the political machinery, if we had a functional political party machinery, today as we talk, the Jubilee Party National Delegate Conference or NDC, whatever it is, that council, would have flagged him down today, would have resigned, and a substantive, loyal man in Senate would have been elevated as a Jubilee Party Senate majority leader. So let's not run away from these things. Morality, as you put it, is a higher law. And St. Augustine of Hippo, speaking about the higher law than the written. Remember, this law that we read today in terms of constitution emanated from Athens, written by men who were reigning in on a collapse of a Christendom. When the law of God had collapsed, was no longer ruling among men. When the papacy was no longer able to reign on people to do what is right, because now it was quickly coming to an end. Then we must have a law that regardless of religion, all of us must subscribe to. This is what is calling natural law of justice, rules of natural justice. But these two natural rules of justice emanate from the law of nature, from the law of God. And the law of God tells us it is wrong. It is wrong that we are electing people who can hurl insults. That is wrong. It is not in the law. The integrity chapter, chapter 6, try to bring at least a concoction of what we must term integrity. But they have been watered down. 11th Parliament watered down completely chapter 6 so that they could get into Parliament without many questions.
Without many questions.
Their Parliament, the 12th, have really buried, and they are now erecting tombstones.
All right. I need us to take a break. I know, Senator, you have something that you want to say. I'll just ask you to hold that thought. When we come back, we'll start from there, although we'll also be looking at the discussion of Central Kenya and what the current political situation may determine or may be predicting. So we take that break. When we come back, it's time for Political Point. Do stay with us right here on Morning